And so just summarize that for people, that antigen and the antibody test. If you get tested, if you got the antigen, so immediately quarantine. We also try to find out who you've been around. We try to quarantine them. If you had the antibody, it's kind of the good news that for now you're immune to it and you can go do whatever you want, including work on the front lines. Matter of fact, we probably want to circulate you in the population so you can get back to work and help people and that kind of thing.
It means I become useful and don't need to be shut down anymore. And the other really important thing about the antibody test is that it means we'll know how many people had the disease.
Right. And then we can determine real mortality rates.
Yes. Suppose we thought 1,000 people in my city had the disease and we test and it turns out to be 1 million people. Then that lowers the case fatality rate by a factor of 1,000. Okay. And at the moment, we simply don't know.
Right. And I know in America, they just were not ready at all to scale those tests, especially for a population of 330 million people. I know they're working on it now, but they were just not prepared. And so that's why there's this lag, and we're going to pay for it in lives, right?
I'm afraid you're paying for it already in the United States.
Yeah, because of the lack of early detection, the lack of a reaction, and now the lack of testing. And then with the lack of things like ventilators, that all is going to lead to more deaths.
And the delay in social isolation.
Right.
I mean, I know there's a lot of social isolation now. I think about 50% of Americans have been asked to stay at home now.
Yeah, I think in the major cities and major population density places, I think most are on a pretty strict lockdown, and I think it's being observed. But it took time, John. I mean, should we have done that weeks earlier, and would that have been practical? I mean, I read articles about Italy where they knew this 10 days before, but they just took it in kind of a, like you said, never saw a pandemic, never knew a pandemic. A politician has to make a decision, and they said, it's not worth it. But we should have done this weeks and weeks earlier, and we would be dealing with much less of a problem, correct?
To answer that in one word, Brian, yes, absolutely.